will be revising things like, like variable, keywords, or data types because we have already covered those. We have already covered those many times. So, if you have any topic which you want to learn, you can just tell me now, or I will just pick something and we will try some questions or do the concepts once again. Anybody, you can either unmute yourself or you can write in the chat if you have a specific topic which you missed earlier. Okay, so I will just go ahead and will just go ahead and all right. Okay, function recursion. Okay, Omkar, we haven't started object oriented yet. That's why we have this revision class because today we were going to start object oriented, but if we did, then there would have been a large gap between the first class and the second class. Okay, Paul, can you mute yourself? There's an echo because of your mic. Okay, and the pattern question and file handling. Okay, let's take a look at all of them one by one. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this is the same document. This is the document from class 6, which of function and recursion. So you all must have it. So you can open. You can either look at the screen or you can open it in your own device. It's the same thing. Okay. And let's start with the basics of function. Okay. So you get into how you before you understand how you write functions, first you have to understand the semantics of function. Okay, this is the same thing which this is the same way how I explained it earlier. Okay, understanding the semantic means that try to understand what is happening, what is the function trying to do. Okay, so like a function has a name. Okay, such that things have a name. Like for example, I have a book. Okay, the function of the book is to be read, right? Like I can read the book, so the book's function is to be read. So if I write def means function, and if I write book, okay, and then I can write f dot read, and here I can enter any file name, okay, dot txt. Like this is not an actual file, but I'm just showing you how the semantics actually work, okay? So this is your function. The book is the name of your function, and the function does something. Just like real life object have function which do something, Python has functions which do something. Okay. Now let's take a look at a real example. Okay. Let's say I have a def. This is how I declare my function, and then I can write, let's say, summation. Okay. Let's just keep it as sum. And to this function, I want to send two different data points inside that function from outside of that function. Okay. Like when I'm calling the function at that point of time, I will be using those two data points. Okay? I'm just going to write x comma y, and I will write a colon, and as you can see, there's an indentation here, right? There is a gap of 4 spaces. 4 spaces are called an indentation. So you have to indent it once, which your ID will automatically indent it. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we can just do anything with x and y. So the simplest way would be to print x plus y. All right. Now we are going to call this function. To call this function, we are going to write sum, and we have two numbers here, x and y. So what we are going to do is we will just give them some values. So we will get 5 and 15. So I show 5 plus 15 is 20, and let's see what happens if I run this. Yep, my output is 20. Okay, so this is how this function is functioning, or this is how this function is working. Similarly, like you can just, here I have just this very simple print function. You can do all kinds of things inside this. Your code inside a function can be as complicated as your code outside of that function. Like there's no limitation to what you can do. Yeah, let me check the chat box once again. All right. Okay, so take let's take a few more examples to see the different types of function. Like how you can choose. Like if there are three arguments, there's also a way you can. If there are three arguments and you only send two arguments, Python will throw you an error unless you used a predefined argument. So you will use what predefined arguments are. You will use what out of place arguments are and everything. Okay, these are the problems.
Excuse me, sir.
Yep.
In this case, def is the function.
No, no. Sum is the function. Def is how
Def is
we name the function.
def is the keyword.
Yep, def is the keyword. Yes.
Okay.
Just it. This is not it. Yep. So this is it. Okay, so I'll just do it myself. I can't find the exact documents. There's too many of them. Okay. So let's just remove all of this and we will type, let's say, we'll take the same example as we took in that class. Okay, we will just write def and let's say profile. Okay. I'm using the keyword def to declare a function and the name of my function is profile. And here I'm going to pass three, let's say I'm going to pass three values. Okay, first will be name and next will be job and the third will be, let's say, city. What I'm going to do is I'm going to print, hi, my name is, then I'm going to print the name. Okay. Then I'm going to print my position is, and then I'm going to print the job, and then in the end I'm going to print I live in, and then I'm going to print the city. Okay, so this is my function, and this function is asking for three values. So first, let's just do the simplest way of writing this. I will just call the function. Okay, I will call the function using the name of the function, and here I can just type, let's just set, and let's say sdev. Okay, and what city I'm just going to write Delhi. So uh, as you can see, when I call this function, the print statement gets executed normally. What happens when I remove this? When I remove the city? What will happen then is that Python is telling me that one requirement is missing. Okay. And what is the argument that is missing? Its name is city. So Python is telling me that I have not entered the value of city here, which I should have. So what I'm going to do is instead of adding the value of city here in line number 4, I'm going to add the value of city here. Okay. Here I will just write city is equal to Delhi. Let's see if this works now. I'm going to run this. As you can see, I get the same output as before, right? And so what's happening here is the default value of city has now been turned into Delhi. The default value of city before was none. Okay, the argument was empty. Now I have changed my code in such a way that if and only if the user does not enter a city, then it will take the default value as city. But if the user does enter something, let's say if the user enters Kolkata, in that case, in that case, this code will change the default value from Delhi to Kolkata. So we'll just see, and yep. So the argument that you're passing while calling the function always takes precedence over the default value. Okay. So this is the basics of function, and how to get predefined values, and yep, I guess. Okay, well, I will show you one last thing. Let's see, uh, here when I'm declaring the function, when I'm writing the function, my first argument is name, my second argument is job, and my third argument is city, right? That's why when I'm calling the function, that order remains same. Like my order of, like, since this SID is the first argument, Python automatically knows that it's the first one here and name is the first one here, so this must belong to this. But what if I don't want this to happen? In that case, what I can do is I can write name is equal to this. I can write job is equal to this. And I can write city is equal to this. Let's see if this works, okay? And as you can see in the print, like focus on the print statement, as you can see, things have been shuffled. Okay, now it's saying, hi, my name is sdev. Why is this happening? That's happening because I have changed the argument. I've changed the argument. I've written name is equal to sdev. Okay, this value of software developer, which belongs to name, has gone from job to name. Like first, it was passing at the location of job here, but now it's passing at the location of name. And that's because I have used the name variable to assign it a particular value. Okay, so that's almost everything you need to know about a function. There is like ARGS and KWARGS. They're related to like arrays and lists and everything. If you know this, it's very easy to learn them. So let's just move on for now. And
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
If we write the city, uh, if we declare the city Delhi, city equal to Delhi,
Yeah.
Kolkata, do we also need to declare it in the profile too? Do we
Uh,
also make it equal in the profile?
so if I remove this, that is that what you're asking?
Now, what I'm saying now, like
Yes.
in the function, you name job and city. You say Delhi. Also in
Okay.
the profile,
Yeah, okay.
no city equal to Delhi. Also in the profile, do we also need to equal to when you declare job equal to name equal to city equal to, do we declare city equal to up and also declare it down?
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you're asking that if we don't enter like city is equal to Kolkata, will it still work? Am I right?
No, what I'm saying now, like in the function
Okay.
declaration,
Okay.
you
In
declare
this in line
city,
number one. Okay. Yep. In
city,
city.
city equal to Delhi.
Yep.
Then in the second example, you say we can also do it this way. You declare job equal to name equal to, do we also have to say city equal to in two places? You don't understand?
Okay. So see what's the difference here. There's a difference between entering job is equal to this and entering city is equal to Delhi. Okay. Like there's a difference here. Here we are declaring the function. Okay. We are structuring how the function is going to be. And
Mm.
here we are calling the function. So the difference here is that this is the final value. I have called the function and the function is now going to execute and the value will stay whatever I have entered. The difference here is that this is my default value. So when I'm writing city is equal to Delhi, I'm not telling the function that the city has to be Delhi. I'm just telling the function that in case the user doesn't enter a city, then it can take the default value. Like if the user, let's say, misses to
Okay,
enter a city,
okay.
only in that
Uh-huh.
case it will automatically take it as Delhi, but that does not mean that the city is Delhi. Like it's just a placeholder, right?
Okay, sir.
Like let's say if you don't attend, let's say if you attend a class, okay, your teacher marks you present, but if you don't attend a class, the teacher marks you absent, right? So like there's also third option that the teacher can just leave it blank, right? Like neither present nor absent, but that won't work, right? Because you need to calculate your attendance. You can understand it like this, that your default is absent, but if you come to the class, then it gets changed to present.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now let's see what's next. Recursion. Okay, so recursion, the concept of recursion is easier and the implementation of recursion is much harder. So you have to practice this a lot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we will just write a function. And let's say, what do we name the function? Let's just name the function book. All right. And inside the book, we are going to pass a number which is num. And what we're going to do is we are going to print the number. Okay. So, and let's say for this, for sake of some like clarity, I'm just going to write book 5. Okay. If I execute this, what will happen? I'm calling the function book and I'm sending the value 5, and this function is printing the value. So if I run this, my output will just be 5. Okay. This is a simple function. Now what will happen if I write, let's say, I'm going to book num minus 1. Okay. So, and I'm going to enter this blank here so you can like see the difference what's happening. Okay. Here in line number 6, I'm calling the function book and I'm sending the value 5. Okay. So I'm calling the function, which means I will go to line number 1 here. So let's see what's happening. Okay. First I go to line number 1. I'm executing the function. So what's happening here? I'm going to print the number. Okay. I'm printing 5. And then what's happening? I'm calling the function once again. But this time what I'm doing, I'm calling the function for num minus 1. What is the value of num? Num is 5. Num minus 1 is 4. Okay. So which means here I'm calling the function book 4. Okay. Just like on line number 6, I'm calling the function for book 5. On line number 4, I'm calling the function for book and the value is 4, which means I'm again going back to line number 1. Okay. Go back to line number 1, which means that the number will be printed again. And this time the number is not 5. This time the number is 4. Why? Because we're calling it for 5 minus 1. Okay, we are calling it for num minus 1, and the original num is 5. That's why what we're calling it for now is 4, which means I'm going to print 4 here. Okay, and then what will happen? Since I'm calling this function will get called again. Okay, the function is calling itself, and now it's calling itself again for num minus 1, which means that this time the value of num is 4, right? The original value of the number was 5. Then we call it for number minus 1, which is 4. So the value of num changes to 4. Now we're again calling it for num minus 1, which means 4 minus 1, which means 3. Okay. And now we're calling the function for 3, which means now it will go back to the function and it will print again 3, and then it will call again itself again for 2, and it will keep going 4 5 4 3 2 1. It will print everything, but there's a problem here. Can anybody tell me what's the problem here? Like why, like this program will run, but it will not, like it's not a good program. Can anybody tell me why this is not a good program? Like what's the problem I will face if I try to execute this?
There's no limit.
Exactly. So If I run this, don't forget that we can go into the territory of negative numbers, right? Once we reach 0, in the next iteration, we will go to -1, then we will go to -2, then we will go to -3, and we will keep going to the negative side of the numbers. And this function will keep going on forever. So in that case, what we have to do is we have to set an exit value. And let's say I want to keep the exit value in such that I only want my numbers to stay positive, okay? And I don't want them to reach 0 or even any negative number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write if num is equal to 0. I'm just going to write break. Okay. Does break work? Okay, break does not work here. So okay, we have to write a return value, right? I'm just going to return. And what do we return? Mm, We don't have to return anything. We can just return, let's say 5. Like since we are not storing the function in a variable, we can just return anything, like it won't matter. Okay, now let's execute this. As you can see, the output is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what's happening here? This, as soon as let's say when we were calling the function -1, like calling the function num -1, at one point the value of num was 1, right? And in the next iteration, what the value happened to be, it was num -1, which is 1 minus 1, which is 0. So when the function was called the next time, it came across this condition. Okay, it was checking if num is equal to 0, which it was. It just returned 5. Okay, and a function can only return 1. Like there is one function, which means there is one return value, and since it returned 5, and since there's a return statement here, which means everything after that is not going to enter, like is not going to get executed. All right. So let's get back to our chat box. Okay, so Dhanshu, do you mean you want to share your screen to show it?
Yes, I wanted to share the screen, but I have shared a link in the chat box. From there, you can access the question.
All right, I will open this question. Let's see.
Text alignment in string.
This one, right?
Yes.
Okay, right. I've done this on HackerRank. All right, so this question is a little tricky. Let's just first let's see what the output is. All right. Okay, it's a little bigger than I expected. Let's run this and let's see the output. Okay, it didn't run.
You have to take the input.
Right.
Input.
Okay. So, all right. So this is a pattern question. Okay. Someone asked for a pattern question, Chanika. So you can learn from this too. All right. So take a look at this pattern. This is an H made by many H. H or H is, I don't know what to call it. Okay. There are many H characters here, and all of them make up a huge H, right? So, but as you can see this thing here, right? You see the space right here. This spacing is not done by entering spaces, right? I haven't looked at the code, but I'm sure that this space has not been entered in the code, has not been written in such a way that the right? The writer of this code has not manually entered spaces. What they're doing is they are using a method called justification. Okay, justification or justifying, like it's something around there. And what that does is that it can either take the value towards the left or towards the right or towards the center. Like if you have a range from left to right, okay, if you have a range declared, in that case you can play around in that case using the strings with the functions like this. Okay, here you see the ljust, here you see the center, and let's say you have the center here, and here you have the r just means justifying the text to the right. Okay, so the way I did this was like when you open this question in HackerRank, if any of you have been practicing there, this I'm guessing that this like some of this text has already been presented to you. Am I right, Sudhanshu? That some
Yes.
of this code is already
Yes, we just have to fill the justification.
right.
The
So
codes need to be given in the hacker, and you just need to do that. Yeah, R just or L just.
right.
Yes, yes.
So the code, like most of the code is in the editor, you have to figure out which justification of text will edit which part of the code. Okay, so we can either read the code for that, or we can just experiment it with it and see what's the correct thing. Okay, the better way, the more diplomatic way to do that would be to read the code. Okay, so what are we doing? We are first taking the thickness value as an input. Okay, so what did I enter my thickness value as 5? So let's see what's happening here. For I in the range of thickness, which means this loop is going to get executed 5 times. Okay, so what is happening? And the value of C is H. Okay, so I'm printing C multiplied by I, which means okay, so in the first iteration, the value of I is 1, right? Like it's going from 1 to 5. My loop is going from 1 to 5. What's happening here is I'm printing C into I, which means first I'm printing H 1 time. And then what's happening? Okay, let's take a look. And then I'm using our justification to thickness minus 1. Okay, so my thickness value is 5, so I'm doing it to 4. Okay, and then I'm adding another H. Yeah, okay, got it. So what's happening here is I said one thing incorrectly, which is that the value of I will be 1. It won't be. The value of I will be 0, right? So the value of I is 0 in the first iteration, which means C multiplied by I, which is H is going to get printed I times, and I is 0, which means H is not going to get printed here. Okay, H is not going to get printed here, and H is not going to get printed here, which means the only thing which is printing H is this small c here, right? Don't forget this small things. Here we have this variable c here, which means only one H is going to be printed in the first iteration, which is this H, okay? The first H right here. Okay, so now what's happening is, now we're printing, in the second iteration, we are printing the value of I has incremented from 0 to 1, which means we are going to print C. We are going to print C 1 time, and the value of C is H. So we are printing H 1 time. And then what are we doing? We are printing it to the right. To the right of what? To the right of the previously defined, to the previously defined value. Okay. So here we have H at some point, and then we, in the second row, we are going to print the second H to the right of the previous H, right? Okay. Then we are printing again, we are printing another H normally. So that will again come in the center. And then we are printing one H to the left of the H. Okay. How can we experiment with this? Let's see if I'm right. So we
भैया
choose, yes.
इस कोड में ये नहीं समझ में आया कि वो आर जस्ट में वो जो थिकनेस -1 दे रखा है, मतलब ये कैसे डालना है, ये आर जस्ट एल जस्ट कैसे यूज करना है?
Okay, so let's see. There's the center, one, two, one. Okay, so you have one H in the center, okay, and see in the final row, this H is in the center, right?
Yes.
Right? And how many H are there to the right of this H? Four. And there are
4.
four H to the left of this. And
Yes.
the value of thickness is 5. And 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay? So which means that there are going to be 4. We have to thickness are just thickness minus 1, 4, which means that to the right, but to the 4 spaces from the beginning. Like you can, like the alignment can be from the string which you have already entered. The alignment can be from the center of string which you have already entered, or the alignment can be from the beginning of the a canvas. It will depend. We have to experiment and see how our IDE is handling it. As you can see, thickness minus 1 is 4, and we have a center, and there are 4 spaces to the right and 4 spaces to the left. That's why we are using the value of thickness minus 1, because we have to leave 4 spaces to other side. Okay, so here I had L just right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change right justification to left justification to R justification. If I print this, my top cone should get destroyed. Like my top cone should not get printed correctly. And yep, so what's happening here is, okay, so this is different from what I expected. All right. So as you can see, the left half of the this is my top cone, and the left half of the cone is still working correctly, but the right half of the cone is not working correctly. Okay. So what do we learn from this? What we learn from this is that the right justification and the left justification is not if the string is going to be left or right of the center. It defines if the list is if the thing which is getting printed is going to be leaning towards left or right. Okay, what do I mean by that is this is your center variable. Okay, this C here is the thing which is getting printed in the center. This H and this H, this H, this is the thing which is getting printed in the center. Okay, so the one which is coming towards the left of it are the H which are on the left, okay, which are the this, okay. These are the H characters defined by this print statement, okay, C into I dot R just, and whichever is coming after this is the H which is coming to the right of this. So what's happening here is we have H on the left side because we have them on the left side of the print statement, and we want them to lean towards the right. Okay, we want them to lean rightwards. Okay, like you can see this triangle here, right? Like this whole thing is like a triangle, and the left side of the triangle is leaning towards the right side, and the right side of the triangle is leaning towards the left side. Okay, so that's why what's happening here is all the H characters which are to the left have to lean towards the right side. That's why we are using the right justification. And that's okay. So this is what we figured out by experimenting. Okay, we changed one value and we saw how it affected the code, and through that we learned how we can do the just. Okay, so I changed back to ljust, and I will just type 5 again, and our thing goes back to normal. And let's see, now we get to the top pillars. This should be easier. Okay, so for I in range thickness minus 1, you know, the reason we are using thickness minus 1 is it's because, you know, your loop will end at thickness minus 1, but if you add 1, your loop will end at exactly at thickness. Like that's very simple. So print first what we are doing is we're printing C into thickness and dot center. Okay, this is interesting. So the value of thickness is 5. Okay, so we are printing the character H 5 times, and then we are centering it, but we are centering thickness into 2. which means let's see what happens if I change this value to like this. You understand, right? We are printing the character h into thickness, which means we are printing 5 times, and there are 5h here. Okay, like I hope you all get it. Okay, now let's see what was the value here earlier. It was 2, right? Okay, let's see what happens if I change this value from 2 to 4. Okay, and I will enter 5 here again. And all right, so what happened here was that let's go back to 2, and instead of taking an input, I will just enter 5 here. Okay, like it will just make it faster for us. All right, you see this empty space here, right? This
Yes.
okay, so this value dot center thickness into 2. This is the thing which is defining the number of spaces to the left of where a string is starting from. Okay, you want this to stay in the center, but you want it to have some spaces before it. Okay, let's see if we enter nothing, like if we just enter it as nothing. Okay, center of thickness. You can see now we have 0 spaces here. Okay, and if we enter 2, in this case we have we have 2 spaces here, right? String is starting from this point. Okay, this gap is just the gap in ID. We have spaces for 2 here, for 2 characters here, and if we write 4, and everything got shifted to the right. As you can see, now we have a space for more than 2 values here. Okay, and first let's experiment with 3, because this is a little weird. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How many do we have here? Okay, we have 5. All right. So, as you can see, like it's not directly so the thickness into 2, thickness into 3. It's defining the spaces which is coming before, which is coming to the left of your this pillar. Okay, this not how I can select this. Okay, just see my cursor. Okay, this pillar, this portion, this thing is defining the number of spaces that's coming to the left of this, but it's not directly proportional. Okay, the value of thickness into 2 gives us 2 spaces, but if we increase it to 3, it gives us 5 spaces. So you will have to understand the whole function of the code exactly, like why is that happening. But for now, just understand that this is the thing which is like handling the number of spaces which come to the left. Okay, got it. So it is also adding, okay, so thickness into 2, this is the number of spaces which is coming before here. And then we are adding some spaces again here, okay? We are adding some more spaces here, center, thickness into 6. So this is what's being, so the thickness into 6, you see the space here, okay, the space which I've selected, this is being entered because of this thickness into 6. All right, and this is and C into thickness. You already know the C is the character h and thickness value is 5, which means this character. All right. So let's run this again, and I will just quickly show you. This one is what's handling the empty spaces to the left, and this is also handling empty spaces to the left, which is right here. Okay, the value of this
Uh,
is 2, and the
yeah.
value of this is yes.
सेंटर में जो हम लिख रहे हैं थिकनेस इनटू जितना भी लिख रहे हैं, तो जैसे अगर 2 लिखा तो 3 स्पेसेस आ रहे हैं, 3 लिखा तो 5 आ रहे हैं, तो 2n-1 स्पेसेस क्रिएट होंगे. मतलब पैटर्न तो यही बन रहा है 2n-1.
Right. So इसमें कितने हैं? Okay, 6 into 2 is 12, 11. Is this 11 spaces? Let's see. I counted 15 spaces here. So yeah, it's not exactly 2n minus 1. Okay, so yeah, the code for these two pillars is the same as the code for these two pillars. Let me see. Yep, it's the exact same code. Okay. Then we have the middle belt. The middle belt is, this thing, which is for I in range thickness plus 1 divided by 2. So what does this mean? Our thickness is 5, and 5 divided by 2, which is 3, like we are using floor division. You guys remember this, right? If we have one division sign, which means 5 divided by 2, which this will result in 2.5. But if we have two of them, this will be floor division, right? So 2.5 will get rounded down to 2. Okay, I hope you all remember how the arithmetic functions. Okay? So what's happening here is we are printing thickness, which is 5 into 5, which means there are 25 H here. There are 25 H characters here. Okay, and what else is here? Yep, so okay, so the loop is going from 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so the loop is repeating 3 times. That's why you have 3 rows here. And each row has 25 H characters, which is defined by this. And it's staying in the center. Okay, let's see what the value of 6 is. Like, what's the value of 6? Let's change 6 to 8. And let's see how it changes our code. All right. Okay, this again is interesting. What's happened if we change this to, let's say, 5, and 5 moves it to the left, and let's change it to 3. Okay, so 5 and 3 resulted in the same value, and let's change it to 2. And yep, we have the same value. All right. So you need a minimum value of 6 to get 2 spaces here. All right. So this center function, okay. So I will. So after this class, I'm going to go and study what the attribute of this center. Okay. Why after the class? Okay. We can just go right now and study what this means. Okay. Python center function. Center method. It's not a function. It's a method. We're going to write documentation. Okay. We don't need to wait. And we go to the official documentation. Okay. Learn from this. I'm just going to change to my day mode. All right. So let's see what. Okay, we know what the syntax is, but let's see how the center function is exactly working. I was going to learn about this after the class, but so this is a revision class. Okay, like so you can also learn how you, like, if you can't understand something, like, you can Google, like, you will find a lot of things on Geeks for Geeks, Java Tip on YouTube. Like, you can find a lot of things there, but you can find literally everything on the official documentation. Okay, so like learning to read documentation is a very underrated skill, especially when you are only beginning to code, right? Like if you're going to make a project later on, okay, and let's say you're working on a library. Let's say you're working on the Watson library, because I've made a really good project on Watson. So if you go on YouTube, you will barely find any tutorial on Watson. There's barely anything on Geeks for Geeks. So I knew how to read the documentation. Like, I had to learn how to read the documentation, and that's how I could make the project. So learning to read the documentation, it will help you a lot. It will help you in making projects. And after you start working, okay, after you are in a company, after you are writing professional code, and documentation is all you will have. Like, you won't have YouTube tutorials anymore. Okay, so like this is how you do. Like, I couldn't, like, I knew how the center function worked, but I couldn't understand how the attribute within the center function, how exactly is that working. Okay, so here I come to the official documentation of Python, and let's see how it works. Okay, I think I got it.
Siddharth, did you get the middle belt one?
Yes, I think I
Okay.
got it. So, what do you have? If you have anything to add, you can tell me.
Yeah, I figured it out. Just
Okay. Okay. Everybody are going to study from Parvez today. Okay, Parvez, go ahead.
look in the first four I in range thickness plus one, that's floor division two. That means we've taken thickness value as five. So it will be five plus one, that's six, and floor division it will take the integral part. So that comes as output as three. So the loop will run three times, and that's what we get here. The h is printed three times. Okay. So coming to the next one, print C into thickness into 5. We have C equals to H, okay, and thickness we have taken as 5. And 5, we are multiplying once more with 5. So the value comes as the number of times C will be printed is 25. Okay, so in one line, if you will count, H is printed 25 times. Okay, and dot center thickness into 6. That means thickness or what we have value of thickness, that's 5 into 6, 30. And center, what will do, it will just justify all the 25 h's with 30 spaces. Like we have 30 spaces, the center thickness into 6, it's 30 spaces. Okay, 5 into 6, 30, and we have 25 h. So what it's doing here, it's taking first two spaces, then printing 25 times h and taking 3 spaces extra. So in total there are 30 elements, 30. Yeah, if you
Okay.
can, yeah.
Yep, I will show you. See, you can see there are more spaces here. Here are only three spaces, right? I will
And in
go
there are
it
two
slowly.
spaces. So
One
three,
space, two space, three space on the right side,
and
and
here is two space.
and here one space and two space. Okay. So and 25 H characters, which takes a total of 30. Okay, 2 plus 25 plus 3 is 30.
Yeah.
And this is our value 5 into 6, 30.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Hmm. Yep. So you all are very lucky. Like I study from Parvez every day. You all also got to study from him today. That's great. All right. So and the bottom pillar's code is the same as the code from top pillar, and the code for the bottom cone. Okay. It's also like it's just the mirror image. Okay.
It's totally
The-
identical, but it's just printing in the reverse loop.
Yep. So like imagine a mirror, not to the like normally we imagine a mirror, like dividing from left to right. Imagine a mirror on the floor, okay, like on the floor and you're looking down, and that way you will be able to come up with this code. Okay. So like just like downward facing mirror and to the right side. All right. So yeah, other than that, like if you're taking a look at this question for the first time, like I do not expect you to like. I don't think anyone in the world will expect you to understand this just by reading it or just by listening to it. Again, what you have to do it, you have to get the code. Okay, the link is in the chat box. Hanshu will provided it for you, and then just experiment with it. Okay, like change this center to adjust and see what happens. Okay, I will run this and let's see what happens. Okay, like my code just broke. Okay, so like this middle bell just shifted to like this pillar just shifted to the right, like my middle bell, like even this pillar is not in the right location. Like my entire code just broke because I changed this from center adjust. Okay, so this is what you have to do. You have to just change things and experiment, and that's how you will figure out most of the errors of most of your learning. Okay. Okay, so there's file handling. We will get to that. And there's okay, why to use return statement and when. Okay, this is a very interesting question. Okay, I want to get to this first. Okay, so let's go back to our very simple function. Okay, def sum x comma y, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to return x plus y. Okay, and let's say I'm just going to call x1 comma 2 indentation, and let's print this. There's no output. Okay, there's no output. Why? Because I have not printed anything. In that case, what I can do is I can print this, right? This is the simplest way to do it, and look, 1 plus 2 is 3. So this is the simplest way to do it. Like, instead of printing inside the function itself, what I'm doing is I'm just returning the value, which is x plus y, and then I'm printing it. But this is not a good example, right? We are just printing it. So what we are going to do is something else. Okay, let's say I have let's take a little more complicated function. Okay, so here we have the summation of two numbers, right? And let's see. Let me think of a good example. All right, so let's just okay, for simplicity, like, we will just start with the very simple example for now, and we are just going to write another function, okay, def, which will be, let's say, what should I do in this function? Okay, let's just say def division. Okay, div, I will just is div a keyword? No, div is not a keyword. All right, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to write div a comma b. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print a divided by b. Right. Now what I'm going to do is first, how do we call the function? We call the function using their name. We have sum. Okay, let's just take a better number, 15 comma 6. 15 and 6 is 15 plus 6 is 21. Okay, and instead of calling the function just like this, I'm going to call the function and I'm going to put the value of the function in a variable. Okay, I'm just going to
Excuse me.
Yes.
We are using division and we are calling sum.
No, this is just a random name. Like, we are dividing, but this is like this is not the actual predefined division function. I'm just taking a random name. Okay, we can just use div here. Okay, like, if that makes it better. This is not a keyword. This is not an official Python keyword. Okay, so what we're doing is we are calling the function sum, but when we call it, we are storing it in a variable. Let's say, let's just take x. Okay. Not x, we have already used it. Let's just take var is equal to that is equal to sum 15 comma 6. What we will do now is the summation of 15 plus 6, which is 21, has now been stored in var. Okay, so this return statement, okay, like, if I had a vacom, I would draw an arrow here. Okay, so I call a function. Okay, I call a function, then I go to this first line here, and then I return something, and this return state, the value of this return statement gets stored in this variable. Okay, this is how you can understand what return actually is. Return stores it in the variable. Okay, so we are storing it in this variable 15 plus 6. Now what we can do is we can call the diff function, and we can send var divided by var comma 7. Okay, so, and now we execute this. As you can see, the output is 3. 15 plus 6 is 21. 21 by 7 is 3. So the benefit of return function is that we could add the two numbers. Okay, we added 15 plus 6, but we never had to look at it. We never had to print it to confirm it. Okay, so we added it, we stored it we call the function which stored it in a variable, and then we use that variable to call another function, and in that function we finally printed it. We finally printed something. And like when you get into real world object oriented programming, there won't be one function or two functions. There will be like hundreds of functions, and that's all you will have, right? You will call one function, you will return some value, you will use that value to call another function, and then you will get one value back. And then like it's just like a spider web connected between many functions. Like that's just how programming will happen, like after some time. So this is like a return statement is any day better than a print statement because it has more volatility, not volatility, it has more flexibility. Like you can print it if you want to, you can also not print it if you want to, you can store it in a variable, you can use it to call another function. Like you can do everything with a return statement. Okay, so got it, Rishabh?
Yes, Bhaiya. Thank you.
Okay, so now we get to the final topic. Okay, we will keep today short. Okay, do we have file handling in this? Okay, we don't. Okay, let me just open the presentation for file handling. So the syntax and the concept of file handling, I guess, is relatively simple. Okay, so like I can show you all of this once again, but I think that like showing and telling you this, like there won't be like any extra epiphany if I show it to you as compared to if I just tell it to you, because this is more of a practical thing. So let's just quickly just go over the slides. All right, so this f here is just a variable. Let me just full screen. Okay, so pay attention to the comments. Okay, open a file for read. When we write f is equal to instead of don't look at f for now. Okay, just look at what's the right side of the equation, which is open myfile.txt. Okay, we have myfile.txt is the name of the file. Okay, when you are writing a path, when you are writing the path to the file, you have to mention the name of the file. All right. I remember, Paul, you missed writing the name. Like you entered the entire path of the file, but after the path, after the location of the file, you forgot to mention the name of the file itself, right? So first you enter the location / the name of the file .txt. If it's a text file, then you enter .txt. All right. So the open, so with using this line, open myfile.txt, you can open your text file, and then you're storing the value of that open text file into the variable of f. And when you print f, what will happen is you will be just printing everything which is inside the file. So but this will only work if you are going to print the file. Okay, if you want to write something, if you want to edit the file, if you want to write the file, in that case, what you're going to do is you're going to enter a comma, and then you're going to write this W, this character W. So what? So the explanation is simple. Open a file for writing. Okay, so you open this file for writing, and then what's happening is you will be able to write to the file. You will be able to edit to the file. There's one problem here. Like let's say if your text file has one page of text, then you open it for writing, and then you write something to it. That page of text will get erased, and then the thing you have written will get added on top of it. Okay, so this is not the preferred statement which we like to do. Do we have the append? Right. So instead of writing comma W, what I wanted you to do is I wanted to write comma A. So what A does is that if you already have some text in the file, and then you have opened the file using comma A, what will happen is that text, the pre-existing text, will stay in the file, and whatever you add to the file will get added on top of it. Like it will get added, not on the top of it, on the bottom of it rather, right? Like you have some text in the text file already, and you're just going to add more and more text to it if you open it using the comma a function. Alright, and similarly, there's like you will learn more if you like, like if you try this, because file handling is something like so in my experience, like I've talked to like Eva, I've talked to Parvez, I've talked to many of my friends. File handling is something everyone knows, but it's also something no one is confident, right? Like even me, like if you noted in last class, even I was like stuttering a bit, like in the file handling. So this is a concept everyone knows it. Okay, like if I explain it once, you will remember. It's very simple, but no one is confident in it, and the only reason for that is whenever you are writing any other thing, like you're writing a program in Python for anything, you're able to see the output of that in real time. Okay, you write something, you execute it, and then you're able to say its output. The file handling is a little different. Instead of seeing the output in your IDE, in your terminal, you are seeing the output in the text file, which may or may not be correct. Okay, right? If you do something wrong in Python, Python will tell you what you did wrong. It will tell you exactly where, in which line you did wrong and which error you are facing. But your text file will not do that. Your text file will just execute something or the other. That's why it's a little confusing. That's why people don't have confidence in file handling. But the only way to correct that is to just keep doing it. Okay, do all of these commands 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and in like within 6 hours today, like if after this class you start practicing file handling, you will be better than me. Like this is a small concept. You will be able to do it. You will become better than anybody if if you just practice it boldly, just a few times. Like it won't even take very long. All right, so I guess that's everything for today. Like that's all I can see in the chat box. All right, so I won't, as I said, I won't be taking very long from you. Thank you, everybody. You came to the revision class, and yep, that's it for today. And I'll be taking my leave.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir? Yes, sir.